I'm out here talking. I didn't even know the mic wasn't working. What's good, man? All right, hope you're doing well. Let me turn off this music for a little bit while we get into what we're doing today. So I was saying basically, I'm gonna try a new setup, a new idea today in terms of like our Bible stories, because that's what we do on Wednesdays. Is we go through a Bible story about one of the people in the Bible. I actually thought that today we were gonna be talking about Moses, but I forgot that there's a lot that happens before Moses even shows up on the scene. So I said we just take it slow. So first we went over the Adam and Eve story, then we went into the Noah story, then we went into the Abraham story, and now we could go into the Isaac story, but Isaac, I don't think he had a long there was not much talked about him. I mean, except for the fact that his dad almost sacrificed him, like we saw last week, and then him giving birth to Jacob. So there's not really much to him. So what I'm gonna try to do is it's still important, so I'm gonna talk about the relationship between Isaac and Jacob, who's the person we're actually gonna watch a video about today. I haven't watched this particular video yet that I'm using, so they might talk about it. So let's just see if they skip it, then I'll go and just read about it from the Bible. But I pray that as we go into the scriptures today, that the eyes of our understanding, the eyes of our heart be enlightened, that we can actually get to know what the truth is. Amen. So let's see what this video is going to be all about. I mean, like, I don't think I personally have watched any like child animation kind of like things in a long, like, first of all, I've not watched it for the Bible before, period. So yeah, let's see how it's let's see what it's like. Let's listen in.
Presents the brothers Jacob and Esau.
So right now they're already linking both of them. So just to give some context, right? Jacob and Esau are the sons of Isaac. Isaac is the son of Abraham that we looked at last week. So that's why I'm saying we're skipping one, basically, but I think they will still talk about him. But let's see.
This is Isaac. Hello. The son that Abraham had.
Oh, well, great. He just explained it. The audio of this sounds a little bit harsh though, unfortunately. I'm going to try to put some music behind it. Maybe it'll make it a little bit better to understand.
He married Rebecca.
Oh, they have their own music already. Never mind. That's not going to work.
But the years passed and they did not have any children.
Oh, okay. So similarly to Abraham and Sarah, his wife, Isaac also didn't have a child for a long time. So Isaac and Rebecca, his wife, the story of how he actually met his wife is also very interesting. It reminds me of the story that we listened to about give me 1 second. Oh, God is good. There's just no chance, bro. Oh, man. Bruh, that's crazy.
They waited a long time until Isaac prayed to God, asking him that Rebekah could have a baby. And before long, God answered
What they say, blah, 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 blah. That's crazy.
Isaac's prayer.
Positive pregnancy test?
This is gonna be tough to watch, man. What is going on here?
I'm going to be a dad!
But not in the
Actually, on the flip side, I could actually see myself watching this if I knew that kids were watching so that they could learn the Bible. If this is what works for them, I don't mind teaching kids, but this is so unusual. Like so unusual for me. What's up, Lack? How you doing, man?
way they expected. In
Like,
Rebekah's
why are
world,
they making the
there was
guy
not-
talk at beyond the narration? That's tough for me to watch, man. Okay, let's just give it 10 minutes. Let's give it 5 minutes at least.
one, but two babies, twins. The twins.
Wow, I actually forgot this detail. If this detail actually exists, now they got me curious. Let's see. So this is the account of the family line of Abraham's son Isaac. Isaac was 40 years old when he married Rebekah, daughter of Bethuel the Aramean from Paddan Aram and sister of Laban the Aramean. Isaac prayed to the Lord on behalf of his wife. Because she was childless, the Lord answered his prayers and his wife Rebekah became pregnant. The babies jostled each other within her and she said, "Why is this happening to me?" So she went to inquire of the Lord. The Lord said to her, "Two nations are in your womb." Wow, I actually forgot. Wow. Twin boys in her womb. I didn't even remember that. Like said, I kind of missed the presence during the D2 streams. Everyone is gone now. A rib. Hey, it is what it is, man. That's interesting though. That's very interesting. I actually forgot all about that. Don't worry. There'll be a new community here someday. I guess the question that you would be asking yourself now is, do you like the new direction of the stream or not? Because whether I have a new community or not, if I have a new community, it's about whether you'll be a part of that new community or not, right? So that would be the next thing for you to think about. As far as old people leaving, new people coming in, that always happens, right? Because you've said, "Oh, I missed this person." People are always leaving and coming back. That's not gonna change. But the question is if you are actually going to benefit from the stream. Because I know when I used to play video games, you didn't benefit from the games much because you weren't playing the actual game with me, right? But you were able to benefit from the community that was there and the kind of people that were there. So there will be new people here. The question is, are you going to enjoy their company or not?
Often, Rebekah could feel the little feet pushing. One night, Rebekah woke up suddenly. The babies had been kicking and moving a lot. She couldn't stand the pain. And she prayed, "Lord, are my babies okay?"
Oh man, I cannot do that. let's I'm trying my best to prevent myself from just reading the story from the Bible, because I know like that's a little bit harder to follow than videos, but watching a cartoon is a little bit much, man. It's a little bit much. Just give me a second. I'm trying to find this one's an hour long though. I think it's gonna be full AI.
Divine prophecy overturned the natural order of things. The older would serve the younger. From the womb, God...
That's true though. I think, well, let's see how this one goes.
To the Lord on behalf of his wife because she was barren. The Lord answered his prayer, and his wife Rebekah became pregnant. In ancient times, barrenness was seen as a curse, and Rebekah carried that burden for 20 years.
That's
Imagine
interesting when he says in ancient times, barrenness was seen as a curse. In today's world, what do people see barrenness as? A blessing? Most people don't see barrenness as a blessing, I'll tell you that.
That must have consumed the hearts of this couple, heirs to the promise made to Abraham, yet unable to conceive a child. God's answer to Isaac's prayer didn't come without complications. Genesis 25:22-23 reveals the babies jostled each other within her, and she said, "Why is this happening to me?" So she went to inquire of the Lord. The Lord said to her, "Two nations are in your womb, and two peoples from within you will be separated. One people will be stronger than the other, and the older will serve the younger."
You know, it's so funny because right now we have the precedent. We have the idea already that I've actually been thinking about the possibility of me like holding the microphone when I'm talking. It's just this microphone's not really the kind of mic for that. But anyways, one of the interesting things here is we already know from Abraham's story that God promised him that he'll be a father of many nations, that out of him his people will come and all of that. So when you're looking at it through that lens of like, okay, so Abraham had a kid, Isaac, okay, Isaac's wife is barren. How are they going to have these many nations? He's got one son, and this one son's wife happened to not be able to give birth to a child. So it's very interesting. And then now these, instead of not having a child and them just passing away, now they're talking about them having twin boys. But then they're talking about the older will serve the younger and things like that. So it's like, what is this? What's really going on here? Because the promise is not really seeming like it's working out so good.
Rebekah's pregnancy was a foreshadowing of the conflict that would mark not only the lives of her sons, but entire nations. The divine prophecy overturned the natural order of things. The older would serve the younger. From the womb, God was setting a pattern that would challenge human conventions. Genesis 25:24-26 narrates the dramatic birth. When the time came for her to give birth, there were twin boys in her womb. The first to come out was red, and his whole body was like a hairy garment. So they named him Esau. After this, his brother came out, with his hand grasping Esau's heel, so he was named Jacob. Isaac was...
What's so funny about that heel? First of all, this is some strange AI work right here, man. Why these people got 6 toes over here and this one's got 6 toes as well with his long legs? But that's not the focus right now. The point is the fact that they're talking about like holding his heel for Jacob, the second one. We already know the reference of bruising the heel that we saw from the curse that God placed on Adam and Eve earlier. So that term heel is actually important, but let's see. I think in this particular instance, what it more or less means is the fact that God has already spoken to Rebekah saying, the older will serve the younger. So this is probably part of what's manifesting there.
60 years old when Rebekah gave birth to them. The contrast between the twins was evident from birth. Esau, the firstborn, was red and hairy, characteristics that foreshadowed his rugged and impulsive nature. Jacob, on the other hand, was born clutching his brother's heel, a gesture prophetic of his cunning and determined personality. As the boys grew, their differences became more pronounced. Genesis 25:27-28 describes, "The boys grew up, and Esau became a skillful hunter, a man of the open country, while Jacob was content to stay at home among the tents. Isaac, who had a taste for wild game, loved Esau, but Rebekah loved Jacob. Esau became a man of the field, skilled in hunting, embodying the masculine ideal of the time. In contrast, Jacob was quiet and domestic, preferring the life of the home. This division of personalities was reflected in their parents' preferences. Isaac favored Esau, while Rebekah preferred Jacob. Parental favoritism sowed the seeds of discord that would later flourish, offering a timeless lesson about the dangers of treating children unequally. The turning point in the brothers' youth came with a seemingly trivial...
I can only imagine. That's so like, I mean, just speaking on like general morality, like the idea of treating one kid differently from the other. Foundationally, that could really mess up a kid. Doesn't even matter if the dad loves one and the mom loves you. Your dad loves you and it feels like your mom don't love you more. It doesn't matter what the dynamic is. The fact that it feels like your mom don't love you as much as the other kid, it always messes up a lot of kids, man.
Incident that had profound consequences. Genesis 25:29-34 recounts, "Once, when Jacob was cooking some stew, Esau came in from the open country, famished. He said to Jacob, 'Quick, let me have some of that red stew. I'm famished.' That is why he was also called Edom. Jacob replied, 'First, sell me your birthright.'
What's up, bloodies?
'Look, I am about to die,' Esau said.
Bruh.
'What good is......'
Ain't no way. Ain't no way. Talking about sell me your birthright. That's crazy. I want to eat some beans. You talking about sell me your birthright. Like, bro, it's not that serious. Bro, I'm hungry. Like, chill out. Yo, imagine you go to your brother. And birthright, according to, I mean, we could Google this real quick, actually. Let's Google what birthright means. Because that's crazy. Right of possession or privilege one has from birth. So like basically kind of like everything that everything that you own, you gonna give it to me for a plate of stew beans. That's crazy. You said, "How have I been?" I've been good, man. I've been great. Thank God. How about yourself?
"The birthright to me." But Jacob said, "Swear to me first." So he swore an oth to him,
There ain't
selling
no way.
his birthright to Jacob.
This guy must have been suffering from some sick case of gluten. No, I mean, okay, maybe I just imagine the kind of hunger this man was going through to say. I guess he probably just didn't take it seriously.
Then Jacob gave Esau some bread and lentil stew. He ate and drank, and then got up and left. So Esau despised his birthright. This episode reveals much about the character of both brothers. Esau, impulsive and driven by his immediate appetites, was willing to trade his birthright, a position of great honor and responsibility in patriarchal society, for a meal. His exaggerated claim of being about to die shows his tendency
Prepping for
toward
college.
hyperbole
That's
and
nice,
instant
man.
gratification.
I wish you all
Jacob,
the
on
best
other
with that,
hand,
bro.
displayed calculated shrewdness. He saw an opportunity and seized it, manipulating his brother's weakness for his own gain.
And his weakness was stew. Crazy.
While his actions may seem questionable by modern standards, they reveal a sharp understanding of the value of the birthright and a willingness to do whatever it took to obtain it.
Okay, I guess that in one sense, since God had already revealed to Rebecca that the son will rule over the older one, or the older one will serve the younger, maybe part of that was the reason why the mom told Jacob to make sure that any opportunity you get, tell this man to give you his birthright. Just do it. Just trust me. That's crazy. I think it's also very interesting here too, because, man,
Exchange of the birthright for a meal
wild.
became a powerful symbol of Esau's recklessness and Jacob's opportunistic nature. The biblical text does not offer explicit moral judgment on Jacob's actions at this moment.
Yeah,
but the
because
subsequent
that's another thing I was thinking about. Like when it was the brothers and it was Cain and Abel did something, and now then again, Cain did something bad towards God, not towards his fellow man, but still, cheating your brother is crazy.
Narrative will show how this decision shaped.
I guess this is also why, part of why it's important to understand that God does allow for free will. Like at the end of the day, you're gonna be stupid. You're gonna let someone take advantage of you. That's you doing it with the fellow man kind of thing. Like it shows how much leeway God allows when it comes to like free will.
Destinies of both brothers and their descendants. The implications of this act were
Man,
profound.
I can't even breathe.
The birthright
Like,
was not merely
bro.
a matter of material inheritance. It carried spiritual blessings and the responsibility to lead the family. By despising his birthright, Esau demonstrated a lack of foresight and appreciation for the divine promises made to his ancestors. For Jacob, acquiring the birthright was only the first step in his journey to becoming the heir of God's promises. Though his methods were questionable, his determination to secure divine blessings would be a recurring theme in his life. This episode sets the stage for the future events in Jacob's life. His cunning and determination would lead him to great heights, but also place him in situations of conflict and danger. Jacob's story reminds us that God can use even our flaws and imperfections to fulfill his greater purposes. Genesis 27:1-4 takes us to a crucial moment in Isaac's life. When Isaac was old and almost blind, he called for his older son Esau and said, "My son." "Yes, father," he answered. Isaac said, "I am old and do not know the day of my death. Now take your weapons, your bow and your quiver, and go out to the field to hunt game for me. Prepare for me the delicious food I love, and bring it to me to eat, so that I may bless you before I die." Isaac's old age and blindness created a scene of urgency and vulnerability. Aware of his mortality, he wanted to fulfill his paternal duty to bless his firstborn before
Man, poor guy.
leaving this world. The blessing was not merely a formality, it was a prophetic and powerful act that would determine the destiny of the blessed and his descendants. Isaac's plan to bless Esau reveals his continued preference for the older son, despite the sale of the birthright years earlier. Perhaps Isaac was unaware of the agreement between the brothers or considered it invalid. Regardless, his intention to bless Esau triggered a series of events that would forever change the course of the family's history. Genesis 27:5-10 introduces Rebekah's strategy to favor Jacob. Now Rebekah was listening when Isaac spoke to his son Esau. So when Esau went to the field to hunt for game, Rebekah said to her son Jacob, "I heard your father say to your brother Esau, 'Bring me game and prepare me the delicious food to eat, so that I may
That's
bless you in
crazy.
the presence
This
of the
guy
Lord before I
literally,
die.'
I'm
Now, my son,
definitely
listen to me
convinced
as I command
that
you.
it
Go to the
was
flock and bring me 2 choice young goats, so that I can prepare some delicious food for your father,
was
the kind he
these
loves.
two
Then take it to
parents
your
were the
father
cause
to
of
eat,
everything
so
that was
he may
going
bless
down.
you before he dies." Rebekah's
Nah.
plan was bold and risky.
For
She not only interfered
Isaac,
with her husband's will,
he wasn't
but
doing
also
anything-
placed her favorite
He
son
wasn't doing
in a
anything
dangerous
too
position.
crazy
Her
by
actions
asking
reflect a
the
complex
older
mix
son
of
to come and get
motives.
the
The
inheritance.
desire to
But
see-
I'm pretty sure that that's part of the reason why That's part of the reason why the older that's part of the reason why, first of all, Jacob was out there asking for any birthright in the first place, and now that's the reason why Rebecca is trying to get Jacob to get something again. Like, they just like, this whole thing that we're watching here is not just about, none of these were just the actions of the kids, because I don't even know how old these kids were. Because I guess there's a way for us to tell the age, but I don't know. They're probably young. They're probably just getting swayed by their parents.
Prophecy fulfilled that the older will serve the younger, her preference for Jacob, and possibly her belief that Jacob was more suited to lead the family. The preparation of the stew was just the first step. Genesis 27:11-17 details Jacob's elaborate disguise. But Jacob said to Rebekah, his mother, "But my brother Esau is a hairy man, and I am a smooth man. What if my father touches me? I would appear to be tricking him and bring down a curse on myself rather than a blessing." His mother said to him, "My son, let the curse fall on me. Just do what I say. Go and get them for me." So he went and got them and brought
The curse fall on me. What are you gonna do? If the man curses me, he curses me. How's the curse gonna fall on you?
them to his mother, and she prepared the delicious food, the kind his father loved. Then Rebekah took the best clothes of Esau, her older son.
But I can't even imagine what could be happening here in a home where all this stuff is going on behind the scenes. What kind of... man.
She had at home, and put them on her younger son Jacob. She also covered his hands and the smooth part of his neck with the goat skins. Then she handed to her son Jacob the delicious food and the bread she had made. This passage reveals Jacob's initial hesitation, not from moral principles, but from fear of being caught. Rebekah's response, taking responsibility for any curse, demonstrates her determination to see her plan realized. The elaborate disguise, using Esau's clothes and goat skins, shows how far they were willing to go to deceive Isaac. Jacob's encounter with Isaac is narrated in Genesis 27:18-29 with palpable tension. Jacob went to his father and said, "My father." "Yes, who are you, my son?" Isaac asked. Jacob said to his father, "I am Esau, your firstborn. I have done as you told me. Please sit up and eat some of my game, so that you may bless me." Isaac asked his son, "How did you find it so quick?"
You know what's interesting too about this story in terms of the food, right? Last time it was Jacob that was whipping up the wickedest stew that made Esau offer up his whole birthright for it. Now, when it comes to food, I'm guessing Isaac already knows who cooked the more, the good stuff. But of course, again, either because of favoritism or because he's the elder son, I don't know which one it is, but he calls Isaac, maybe it even says why. Let's see if we could see why. So, let's see. So when Isaac was old and his eyes were so weak. Now, it came about when Isaac was old and his eyes were too dim to see, that he called his older son Esau and said to him, "My son." And he said to him, "Here I am." Isaac said, "Behold, now I am old and I do not know the day of my death. Now then, please take your gear and quiver and a bow and go out to the field and hunt game for me and prepare a savory dish for me such as I love. And bring it to me that I may eat, so that my soul may bless you before I die." I mean, there's no reason for me to believe one way or the other, but if we're just naturally thinking, this sounds more like preferential treatment to me. And then that's when Rebekah went and spoke to Esau. So when Esau went to the field to hunt for game to bring home, Rebekah said to her son Jacob, "Behold, I heard your father speak to your brother, saying, bring me some game and prepare a savory." Oh my goodness, I can barely breathe, man. This is crazy. Um, oh, Lord. Oh, man. Like, it's a strong smell in here. I can't speak for everyone else, but I'm also. Oh, you're speaking on the comment that that Naomi made. Oh man. God was devoted this stream to Jesus. Well, I'm happy. I'm happy you're glad, man. Hopefully people actually, get to use this time to actually pay attention to the word of God, because that's the hope. That is the hope. That's the main deal, because I've heard all sorts of things since I've started doing this. People say, I hope that at least you're happy now, at least you're so many different things. But me, forget me being happy, forget none of that. Me, I'm just here so that someone can spend more time listening to the things that concern Jesus. That's it. If that keeps on happening, then I'm good. But if not, well, it's just unfortunate, because it doesn't mean I'm gonna stop though. Oh my goodness, I can barely, bro. This is crazy. Like, I'm struggling to breathe here, man. Yeah, I'm good. It's just there's a strong smell in this room right now. It's really, really strong. Oh my goodness. Indeed I am. How are you, my friend? I'm doing good, man. I'm doing good. Thank God. I've been busy, keeping myself productive. Well, they have to look somewhere else for carries now. Oh well, if that was the only reason they were here, good riddance. Okay, I wouldn't say all that. I wouldn't say all that, because all of this is less about destiny and it's a lot more about the word of God, so like, yes, if they needed carries they would always have to go somewhere else anyways. But as far as like good riddance, I'm not saying good riddance to them, because because of a lot of those people. I would even say that if you think about how long I was doing what I was doing for, it was not because of a lot of Christians that showed up to the stream that made the stream what it was. That gave me the platform that I had, you know what I'm saying? So like, I wouldn't say good riddance. I wouldn't say good riddance to them. At the end of the day, what we want at the end of the day is that they can come to the knowledge of Christ so that they can enjoy this as well, I apologize. Yeah, no, it's all good, man. It's all good, because sometimes it takes someone to tell you some of these things to realize, because really that's the hope. Like, I have 3,000 people that followed this stream at some point. If out of those 3,000 people, one of them comes to the knowledge of the truth just because I'm doing this, that's the reason why that's the reason I'm doing this now on this channel, actually, because I actually thought about just starting up a new Twitch and starting up a new YouTube channel, which I own another Twitch channel, and I could just I can make another Twitch, I could make another YouTube channel and just start differently. But the reason that I'm doing it here is because, again, like the motives always remain the same. I feel like I say this every day. The motive has always been to help people, even if they don't know that they need help, so, or even if they don't want to accept the help, whether it was through gaming or now through the word of God. Like, I'm just trying to help people. That's it. Even people who are Christians who misunderstand the word, maybe I could help them. Some people who feel like they don't have time to to read the word of God or hear about the word of God, those, that's the main benefit of it, is to be able to give that opportunity. But yeah, altogether, man, like if I feel like my time evangelizing is better off suited somewhere else, I'll try this. Maybe I go walk on the streets instead, because the message has to be shared. And if I can't share it here, if nobody's seeing it here, I need to go somewhere else. It's just like I liken it to if I were to be standing at the front of my gate in my house, and I'm talking about the gospel and there's nobody there, and I just keep preaching it. Maybe I go down the street and try the next street, because I'm not just preaching for myself, or I say preaching, but I'm not just sharing the message for myself. I'm sharing it so that people can hear it. So that's it. But all the same, I do believe that, from the stream already, since I've been doing this, there are a few Christians who have been able to come around here and hopefully learn something because of it. But then again, like I always say, it's cool when Christians are together, so we're able to talk to other people. But the main thing, you don't evangelize to Christians, even though there's some people who maybe you say not Christians, but you're talking about churchgoers that could get to be saved. There's also that part, but that's really where what I want is to talk to people who, don't know the truth yet, and hopefully it'll happen. Let's get back to the video.
Quickly, my son. The Lord your God gave me success, he replied. Then Isaac said to Jacob, come near so I can touch you, my son, to know whether you really are my son Esau or not.
Yeah, I need to use my phone. I'm gonna put off the camera for the rest of the stream. Sorry for all the noises too. I have to
credibility to his story. Isaac, suspicious, insists on touching his son. Genesis 27:22-23 continues. Jacob went close to his father Isaac, who touched him and said, the voice is the voice of Jacob, but the hands are the hands of Esau. He did not recognize him, for his hands were hairy like those of his brother Esau, so he blessed him. The test of touch reveals Isaac's internal conflict. His senses are at odds. Touch says it's Esau, but the voice is Jacob's. Yet, trusting his sense of touch more than his hearing, Isaac proceeds with the blessing. The blessing given to Jacob, recorded in Genesis 27:27-29, is powerful and comprehensive. He smelled the smell of his clothes and blessed him, saying, ah, the smell of my son is like the smell of a field that the Lord has blessed. May God give you of heaven's...
I definitely need to read the word. No worries. Lou, thank you for the stream. Hey, thank you, man. Blood, did you have a question? All right.
Due
Yeah,
and
like I
earth's
said, if you
richness,
guys can hear all that wind in the background, I just need some air.
an abundance of grain and new wine. May nations serve you, and peoples bow down to you. Be lord over your brothers, and may the sons of your mother bow down to you. Cursed be those who curse you, and blessed be those who bless you. This blessing, rich in imagery and promises, encompasses material prosperity, political dominion, and a special spiritual status. Ironically, the blessing includes dominion over his brothers, echoing the prophecy given before the twins were born. Esau's return and the discovery of the deception are narrated with dramatic intensity in Genesis 27:30-35. After Isaac finished blessing him and Jacob had scarcely left his father's presence, his brother Esau came in from hunting. He too
You know, something I've always thought about with this story is, why didn't like Jacob just be like, bro, I told you to sell me your birthright. That's everything that you got. Like, don't play. Like, you already gave it to me. I wonder why he didn't confront him like that. I mean, they already said from the description of both brothers that it seems like one could beat the other one. I mean, you could tell the one with all the hair and stuff, and then there's the one that had no hair. You know, you could always picture like the guy without the hair is the one that's the more, you know, he don't do too much kind of thing. So I guess in terms of that, he probably wasn't about to walk up to his brother and say like, what? They probably didn't have the same physique at all.
prepared some delicious food and brought it to his father.
Because, I mean, at the end of the day, Esau was catching game, whereas Jacob was cooking food. So you could already use that to tell a little bit. Like, one of them's like in the kitchen, the other one's out there in the field. So you could tell what those kind of people are. I like doing that when we're talking about scripture, just to have like an idea of what we're talking about, to paint a
And he
picture,
said to
you know.
him, "My father, sit up and eat some of my game so that you may bless me." His father Isaac asked him, "Who are you?" "I am Esau, your firstborn," he answered. Isaac trembled violently and said, "Who was it then that hunted game and brought it to me? I ate it just before you came, and I blessed him, and indeed he will be blessed." When Esau heard his father's words, he burst out with a loud and bitter cry and said to his father, "Bless me, me too, my father." But he said, "Your brother came deceitfully and took your blessing."
What's up, Exis?
Isaac's reaction, trembling violently, reveals the shock and horror of the discovery. His declaration, "And indeed he will be blessed," indicates his understanding that the blessing, once spoken, could not be revoked. It was a
I guess that makes sense, that at that time he knew the significance of what had happened. Because it says, because we didn't even see I don't think they talked about the actual blessing that Jacob gave to him in that story, because it says, "See, the smell of my son is like the smell of a field which the Lord has blessed. Now may God give you of the dew of heaven and of the fatness of the earth and an abundance of grain and new wine. May people serve you and nations bow down to you. Be master of your brothers, and may your mother's son bow down to you. Cursed be those who curse you, and blessed be those who bless you." Nah, it's wild, because it sounds like, I mean, maybe it's just this translation, but it definitely sounds like he wasn't just saying this just generally, man. It sounds like he meant it like from a place of favoritism, man. Why he gotta say, "May your mother's sons bow down to you"? Like, bruh, that's crazy. That's actually crazy. Anyways, now it came about as soon as Isaac had finished blessing Jacob, and Jacob had hardly gone out the presence of Isaac his father, that Esau his brother came in from his hunting. Then he also made savory food and brought it to his father, and he said to his father, sorry about the noise, guys. Let my father arise and eat of his son's game, that you may bless me. Gee, let's just wait a little bit. Okay, I think we're good now. All right, so Isaac, his father, said to him, "Who are you?" And he said, "I'm your son." "Yo, what's up, Scout?" He said, "I'm your son, your firstborn, Esau." Then Isaac trembled. Oh, see, again, that's what I'm saying. When he says he trembled violently, he knew what was up, man. He knew what he was doing, man. It wasn't just about blessing his son. It was about blessing his favorite son. "Who was he then that hunted game and brought it to me, so that I ate all of it before you came and blessed him?" Yes, and he, bro, but how long was this man gone for cooking, man? They had enough time to prepare a meal, disguise his brother, bring his brother in. He ate the food, pray for him, and Esau hadn't come back. That's how you know Esau wasn't cooking no food. Esau literally be out there. He just be out there in the farm. He be out there, you know, in the forest and stuff. That's where you gonna find Esau, because this is crazy. All of this stuff happened before he even brought the food. They could have, Jacob and his mom could have moved to a different city by the time this man got done preparing the meal. That's wild. Say, now let's see Esau's response. Esau heard the words of his father. He cried out with an exceedingly great and bitter cry and said to his father, "Bless me, even me also, my father." And he said, "Your brother came deceitfully and has taken away your blessing." And he said, "Is he not rightly named Jacob? For he has supplanted me these 2 times. He took away my birthright, and behold, now he has taken away my blessing." I mean, technically a birthright kind of part of your blessing, but okay. Unless, again, like birthright is the possession that you are due as a child back in this time, like sort of like a natural will kind of thing. And then he also took the blessing. That's kind of crazy though. He took it all, bruh. And he said, "Have you not reserved a blessing for me?" But Isaac, you see, that's true, eh? Maybe if Isaac was not partial, he would have given half blessing. Give half to Esau, the person he thought was Esau, and then give the other half to Jacob. But he poured it all. He gave it all. Man, that's wild. That's crazy. But Isaac replied to Esau, "Behold, I have made him your master, and all his relatives I have given to him as servants, and with grain and new wine I have sustained him. Now as for you then, what can I do, my son?" Esau said to his father, "Do you have only one blessing, my father? Bless me, even me also, my father." So Esau lifted his voice and wept. That's actually crazy, man. That's actually crazy. There's a lesson on fairness that's being taught here that I never used to think about in the story of Isaac. Because when it came to the part where, okay, his wife tried to, you know, was unfair. I got that his wife was unfair, but even for Isaac, ain't no need for, unless there is some law about the firstborn getting everything. Because I mean, this is not the first or the last time that they pray like that and they say that some should get this, some should get that. But usually there's a reason why. That's wild though. All right, let's get back to the video.
Prophetic word, not merely a paternal wish. Esau's despair is palpable. Genesis 27:36-38 captures his anguish. Esau said, "Isn't he rightly named Jacob? This is the second time he has taken advantage of me. He took my birthright, and now he's taken my blessing." Then he asked, "Haven't you reserved any blessing for me?" Isaac answered Esau, "I have made him lord over you, and have made all his relatives his servants, and I have sustained him with grain and new wine. So what can I possibly do for you, my son?" Esau said to his father, "Do you have only one blessing, my father? Bless me too, my father." Then Esau wept aloud. Esau's pain is deep, but it also reveals his previous lack of understanding about the value of the birthright. Only now does he fully grasp what he has lost. His plea for a blessing, any blessing, is touching. Isaac offers Esau a secondary blessing in Genesis 27:39-40.
27:39-40, an alternate blessing. Then Isaac his father answered and said to him, Behold, away from the fertility of the earth shall be your dwelling, and away from the dew of heaven from above. By your sword you shall live, and your brother shall serve. And your brother you shall serve, but it shall come about when you become restless that you will break his yoke from your neck. Oh, okay. Oh, okay. So at least he gave him a chance. At least he gave him a chance.
His
It ain't too
father
bad.
Isaac answered him, Your dwelling will be away from the earth's richness, away from the dew of heaven above. You will live by the sword, and you will serve your brother. But when you grow restless, you will throw his yoke from off your neck. This blessing, in stark contrast to Jacob's, foretells a life of struggle for Esau and his descendants. However, it also includes a promise of eventual liberation from Jacob's rule. Esau's threat of revenge is immediate and serious. Genesis 27:41 reports, Esau held a grudge against Jacob because of the blessing his father had given him. He said to himself, The days of mourning for my father are near, then I will kill my brother Jacob. This plan for murder reveals the depth of Esau's anger and the imminent danger to Jacob. The situation demands swift action. Genesis 27:42-45 outlines Rebekah's plan for Jacob's escape. When Rebekah was told what her older son Esau had said, she sent for her younger son Jacob and said to him, Esau is planning to kill you. Now then, my son, do what I say. Flee at once to my brother Laban in Haran. Stay with him for a while until your brother's fury subsides. When your brother is no longer angry and forgets what you did to him, I'll send word for you to come back from there. Why should I lose both of you in one day? Rebekah's plan demonstrates her ongoing cunning. She not only protects Jacob from Esau's immediate wrath, but also ensures the continuity of the promised lineage. Her last statement suggests she fears not only for Jacob's life, but also for the consequences Esau would face if he killed his brother. Jacob's departure for Haran, narrated in Genesis 28:1-5, marks the beginning of a new chapter in his life. Isaac called for Jacob and blessed him. Then he commanded him, Do not marry a Canaanite woman. Go at once to Paddan Aram, to the house of your mother's father Bethuel. Take a wife for yourself there from among the daughters of Laban, your mother's brother. May God Almighty bless you and make you fruitful and increase your numbers until you become a community of peoples. May he give you and your descendants the blessing given to Abraham, so that you may take possession of the land where you now reside as a foreigner, the land God gave to Abraham. Then Isaac sent Jacob on his way, and he went to Paddan Aram, to Laban son of Bethuel the Aramean.
Wait, Paddan Aram, that's significant because okay. That's where Rebekah was from. We read that earlier. Okay.
The brother of Rebekah, who was the mother of Jacob and Esau.
Yeah.
This passage reveals that Isaac, despite the deception, accepts God's will and blesses Jacob again, this time knowingly. He also gives specific instructions about marriage, emphasizing the importance of maintaining the purity of the family line. Thus, Jacob departs, leaving behind a divided family and an enraged brother. His journey to Haran is not just a physical escape, but the beginning of a spiritual transformation. The events that follow will shape his character and prepare him to become Israel, the father of the 12 tribes.
You know what I just remembered too is, like, as I was talking about earlier, how Cain did something to his brother that had repercussions. I also remember, now that I'm thinking about it, these things Jacob did, as much as I said God allows for free will, like I always say, God is as just as he is merciful. So when you do something, you're still going to receive the punishment for what you did in some way, form, or fashion. that part you still gonna get justice. So that it just reminded me, like, because what's gonna happen next, you're gonna see how Jacob's gonna pay for it.
The story of Jacob's deception and flight is a powerful reminder.
Also, another part of this too is it's not always the way that we expect the punishment to come that it comes. Like maybe someone hurts you, someone does something to you. Like it's not the way that you expect the person to get punished that they get punished sometimes. So this is also, it also touches on that.
How human actions, even those motivated by ambition or fear, can be used by God to fulfill his greater purposes. It also illustrates the...
Now that's another thing that this speaker is talking about now, is the sovereignty of God. So it can be a tricky one to understand, but there's God's sovereignty, and then underneath those things there's man's will. Now the thing is, what God's sovereignty, you might feel like, okay, well, if God's sovereignty overrules man's will, then that means what God wants just happens all the time. Well, the easiest way I could explain that is God's sovereignty knows man's will, and has because he knows it already, it can work, it works itself into it. So what God wants to happen will happen knowing your will. So it's not that God just does whatever, God does everything and you don't do anything, and that you don't have free will and you're a robot. It's just God knows what you're gonna do before you do it, so he can make the plan for you in spite, like with, sorry, not in spite, with those decisions that you make.
lasting consequences of our choices and the complexity of family relationships. Genesis 28:10-11 marks the beginning of Jacob's journey toward Haran. Jacob left Beersheba and set out for Haran. When he reached a certain place, he stopped for the night because the sun had set. Taking one of the stones there, he put it under his head and lay down to sleep. Imagine Jacob, alone for the first time in his life, fleeing from home, sleeping out in the open with only a stone for a pillow. It is at this moment of vulnerability that God chooses to reveal himself to Jacob.
Okay, let's check the scripture on that real quick. Let's see when Jacob, okay. It says, now Esau saw that Isaac had blessed Jacob and sent him away to Paddan Aram to take to himself a wife from there, and that when he blessed him, he charged him, saying, you shall not take a wife of the daughters of Canaan, and that Jacob had obeyed his father and his mother and had gone to Paddan Aram. So Esau saw that the daughters of Canaan displeased his father Isaac, and Esau went to Ishmael and married, besides the wives that he had, Mahalat, the daughter of Ishmael, Abraham's son, the sister of Nebaioth. All right, this is where we're getting to. Then Jacob departed from Beersheba and went toward Haran. I don't know if it's like Haran or Aran, but anyways, he came to a certain place and spent the night there because the sun had set, and he took one of the stones of the place and put it under his head. Wow. I wonder, what would I choose? If there was a rock I could put my head on, or I could just sleep on the floor. I wonder what I would choose. He had a dream, and behold, a ladder was set on the earth with its top reaching to heaven, and behold, the angels of God were ascending and descending on it. Ascending and descending. We saw, did we see this in John? I think it's in Matthew that they talk about this. Oh, excuse me. Says, and behold, the Lord stood above it and said, I am the Lord, the God of your father Abraham and the God of Isaac. The land on which you lie, I will give it to you and to your descendants. See, this is what I mean by, like, in spite of Jacob's actions, things are still gonna happen a certain way, kind of thing. It's interesting, but still, punishment still coming for your boy. all that aside, I'll give it to you and to your descendants. Your descendants will also be like the dust of the earth, and you will spread out. So that covenant that he made with Abraham is still following through. I will give it to you and to your descendants. Your descendants will also be like the dust of the earth, and you will spread out to the west and to the east and to the north and to the south. And in you and your descendants shall all the families of the earth be blessed. Behold, I am with you, and I will keep you wherever you go, and I will bring you back to this land, for I will not leave you until I have done what I have promised you. Then Jacob awoke from his sleep and said, surely the Lord is in this place, and did not know it. And I did not know it. He was afraid and said, how awesome is this place? This is none other than the house of God, and this is the gate of heaven. Interesting, because literally all these things that are being spoken about here right now are all from they're all based off Ube Ahmad. How you doing, man? They're all the same covenant that he said to Abraham, that he's saying. And you would think, for a guy like Jacob, no chance after everything he just did. But like I said, there's a lot of it that seems like it stems from a lot of partiality going on in the home. But the covenant's been made and the blessings been given. Let's go back to the video real quick.
In an extraordinary way, Genesis 28:12-15 describes Jacob's famous dream. He had a dream in which he saw a stairway resting on the earth, with its top reaching to heaven, and the angels of God were ascending.
Oh wait, I think that's Ahmad's first time being here. I don't think I've seen you here before. Welcome, man. Special greetings to you. Hopefully you get to enjoy the stream and learn something, man.
He said, I am the Lord, the God of your father Abraham and the God of Isaac. I will give you and your descendants the land on which you are lying. Your descendants will be like the dust of the earth, and you will spread out to the west and to the east, to the north and to the south. All peoples on earth will be blessed through you and your offspring. I am with you and will watch over you wherever you go, and I will bring you back to this land. I will not leave you until I have done what I have promised you. This vision of the stairway to heaven is a powerful revelation of the connection between heaven and earth, and of God's constant presence in Jacob's life. The divine promise reaffirms the blessings given to Abraham and Isaac, now extended directly to Jacob. Jacob's response, recorded in Genesis 28:16-22, reveals a profound spiritual transformation. When Jacob awoke from his sleep, he thought, surely the Lord is in this place, and I was not aware of it. He was afraid and said, how awesome is this place! This is none other than the house of God. This is the gate of heaven. Early the next morning, Jacob took the stone he had placed under his head and set it up as a pillar and poured oil on top of it. He called that place Bethel, though the city used to be called Luz. Then Jacob made a vow, saying, if God will be with me and will watch over me.
You know, that's something that's also very consistent when you're looking at some of these events. There's a name change that's happening almost every time. Like almost every time. In the Adam story, you see Adam is made to name the animals. In the Noah's story, we didn't get any name change. We go to Abraham definitely name change. Sarah name changed as well. Now you're coming to Jacob again, and here he's changing the name of this place that he's lying down on where he had an encounter with God. Like, that's one of the things that are super significant when it comes to like the Bible is naming.
me on this journey I am taking, and will give me food to eat and clothes to wear, so that I return safely to my father's household, then the Lord will be my God, and this stone that I have set up as a pillar will be God's house, and of all that you give me, I will give you a tenth. This vow marks the beginning of a personal relationship.
Wait, what? Of all that you give me, I'll give you a tenth. Now I'm interested. So this is where it says he called the name of the place Bethel. However, previously the name was Luz. Then Jacob made a vow saying, if God will be with me and will keep me on the journeys that I take, will give me food to eat and garments to wear, and return to my father's house in safety, then the Lord will be my God. This stone which I have set up as a pillar will be God's house, and all of that you give me, I shall surely give a tenth to you. Wow. That's interesting. I feel like whenever people talk about the whole giving a tenth, they usually don't speak about Jacob. They speak about Abraham. I never heard anybody talk about this from a Jacob point of view. Very interesting. This is what, Genesis 28. I want to read other versions of this real quick. Genesis 28, because he's reading a different one from what I'm reading. Let's see another one other than that too. So NKJV says, I will surely give a tenth. Man, having my phone handy is really nice. NKJV says, you give me, I will surely give a tenth. The one I'm reading says, I will assuredly give a tenth to you. ESV says, and of all that you give me, I will give a full tenth to you. RSV says, that you givest me, I will give the tenth to thee. Wow. Wow. That's news to me. See, that's why I say at the end of the day, I guess if there's one reason why I continue to do this, I do this to benefit. It also has benefit for me, because there's stuff that I learn here that I just never knew before. I just never knew.
Between Jacob
I never understood, at least.
For the first time, we see Jacob acknowledging God not only as the God of his fathers, but as his own God. Jacob's arrival in Haran is narrated in Genesis.
But it's also very interesting, the wording that Jacob uses here. He's saying, if you do this, if you do that, then you will be my God. That's the way he phrases it. I'm going to read it again. What he says. Because he says here, if God will be with me and will keep me on this journey that I take, and will give me food to eat and garments to wear, and I return to my father's house in safety, then the Lord will be my God. So if God mess up any of this as far as Jacob is concerned, he's like, forget about it. I don't know how I feel about that conditional statement for God to be your God. But then again, he could also be looking at it as what God just promised him, saying like, if God actually does these things that he promised to me, if this is what I'm actually promised, I'll serve God, kind of thing. That could also be an interpretation, but interesting stuff nonetheless.
29, 1-12, culminating in his encounter with Rachel at the well. Then Jacob continued his journey and came to the land of the eastern peoples. There he saw a well in the field, with 3 flocks of sheep lying near it, because the flocks drank from that well. A large stone covered the mouth of the well. When all the flocks were gathered there, the shepherds would roll the stone away from the well's mouth and water the sheep. Then they would return the stone to its place over the mouth of the well. Jacob asked the shepherds, "My brothers, where are you from?" "We are from Haran," they replied. He asked them, "Do you know Laban,
just the people I'm
Nahor's
looking for."
grandson?" "Yes, we know him," they answered. Then Jacob asked, "Is he well?" "Yes, he is," they said, "and here comes his daughter Rachel with the sheep." "Look," Jacob said, "the sun is still high. It is not time for the flocks to be gathered. Water the sheep and take them back to graze." "We can't," they replied, "until all the flocks are gathered and the stone has been rolled away from the well's mouth. Then we will water the sheep." While he was still talking with them, Rachel came with her father's sheep, for she was a shepherdess. As soon as Jacob saw Rachel, daughter of Laban, his mother's brother, and Laban's sheep, he went over and rolled the stone away from the well's mouth and watered his uncle Laban's sheep. Then Jacob kissed Rachel and began to weep aloud. He told Rachel that he was a relative of her father.
Huh? Wait, what? He did what? So wait, let's get some context right here. Let's get some context right here. What is going on? So then Jacob went on his journey and came to the land of the sons of the east. He looked and saw a well in the field, and behold, 3 flocks of sheep were lying there beside it. Far from that well they watered the flocks. Now the stone on the mouth of the well was large. When all the flocks were gathered there, they would then roll the stone from the mouth of the well and water the sheep, and put the stone back in its place in the mouth of the well. So Jacob said to them, "My brothers, where are you from?" And they said, "We are from Haran." He said to them, "Do you know Laban the son of Nahor?" And they said, "No, we know him." Okay. And he said to them, "Is it well with him?" And they said, "It is well. And here is Rachel his daughter coming with the sheep." He said, "Behold, it is still high day. It is not time for the livestock to be gathered. Water the sheep and go pasture them." Since when is this guy someone who knows something about livestock? Talking about when you should water the sheep? Anyways, but they said, "We cannot until the flocks are gathered," and they roll the stone from the mouth of the well. Then we water the sheep. Wait. I feel like I'm missing something here. Says, okay, so the stone of the mouth of the well was large. So I think moving the stone was an issue. There was sheep lying beside the well. The stone was large. When all the flocks were gathered there, they would, okay, so when all the flocks are coming at the same time, they would then roll the stone from the mouth of the well. Okay. So it's like, you're not just coming there and moving it all the time. You move it when all the flock is actually available. Okay. So then after he asked where they from, he then said, "It is still high day. It is not time for the livestock to be gathered. Water the sheep and go pasture them." So he's basically saying, don't gather all the sheep together. The other guys are trying to gather the sheep because they only want to roll that stone once. He's like, just give the sheep the water, go pasture them. I'm guessing pasture is like eat. Let's see real quick. Let's look up pasture as an action word. So it says, go do this to them. Yeah, so they should eat. Okay. Water them so that they could go eat. Okay, I was right. So, but they said we cannot until the flocks are gathered. So they rolled the stone from the mouth of the well. Then we water the sheep. Okay. Now I get the picture. So they wait for all the flock to gather. Then they roll the big stone so that they can get water for all of them all at once. Jacob comes, says, it's not time for you to gather all the sheep yet. Just these ones that are already waiting, water them, and then you do the other ones later. And they said they cannot. Okay, now we're caught up. So while he was still speaking with them, Rachel came with her father's sheep, for she was a shepherdess. When Jacob saw Rachel, the daughter of Laban, his mother's brother, and the sheep of Laban, his mother's brother, Jacob went up and rolled the stone from the mouth of the well and watered the flock of Laban, his mother's daughter. I'm guessing he had no problem rolling the stone, or maybe he had a problem and he was just like, you know what? He's like, you know what? Hey, I'm doing it for homegirl. And then Jacob kissed Rachel and lifted his voice and wept. Jacob told Rachel that he was a relative of her father and that he was Rebecca's son, and she ran and told her father. Okay, this kiss I don't think is like romantic kiss. I think it's like a kiss of pleasure where he's happy that he found his uncle or his cousin at this point. Okay. All right, I was a little confused as to what I was reading.
And that he was the son of Rebekah. She ran and told her father. This encounter at the well echoes similar meetings in his family history, such as Abraham's servant finding Rebekah. Jacob's action of single-handedly rolling away the heavy stone from the well.
Yeah, okay, that's what I thought too. Like him rolling that stone, he did it. He wasn't just doing it because like that stone was a rollable stone.
Demonstrates his physical strength and his desire to impress Rachel. The reunion with Laban's family is warm, as described in Genesis 29:13-14. As soon as Laban heard the news about Jacob, his sister's son, he hurried to meet him. He embraced him and kissed him and brought him to his home.
Yeah. That's the kind of kiss. This kiss that they showing here, these are wrong. They sending some wrong messages. Yeah.
And there Jacob told him all these things. Then Laban said to him, "You are my own flesh and blood." However, Laban's initial hospitality quickly turns into a work agreement, as we see in Genesis 29:15-20.
That's crazy. That's an awesome way of describing that, man. It's like, I'm so happy to see you. Oh my goodness. All of a sudden, this man's working for him.
Laban said to Jacob, "Because you are a relative of mine, should you work for me for nothing? Tell me what your wages should be." Laban had 2 daughters. The name of the older was Leah, and the name of the younger was Rachel. Leah had weak eyes, but Rachel had a lovely figure and was beautiful. Jacob was in love with Rachel and said,
What does that even mean? She had weak eyes, bruh.
"I'll work for you 7 years in return for your younger daughter Rachel." Laban said, "It's better that I give her to you than to some other man. Stay here with me." So Jacob served 7 years to get Rachel, but they seemed like only a few days to him because of his love for her. This agreement reveals both Jacob's deep love for Rachel and Laban's calculating nature. The 7 years of labor are an ironic inversion of Jacob's situation. He, who deceived his father and brother, now works faithfully for 7 years. The deceptive marriage is narrated in Genesis 29:21-25.
Like I said, he was going to get
Then
his.
Jacob said to Laban, "Give me my wife. My time is completed, and I want to lie with her." So Laban brought together all the people of the place and gave a feast. But when evening came, he took his daughter Leah and brought her to Jacob, and Jacob lay with her. Laban gave his servant Zilpah to his daughter as her attendant. When morning came, there was Leah. So Jacob said to Laban, "What is this you have done to me? I served you for Rachel, didn't I? Why have you deceived me?" The irony of this situation cannot be overlooked. Jacob, who deceived his blind father, is now deceived in the darkness of his wedding night. Jacob's question, "Why have you deceived me?" echoes the question that Esau must have asked him
Exactly. You could only imagine, like, bruh, you were doing the same thing.
before. Laban's response and the second agreement are described in Genesis 29:26-30. Laban replied, "It is not our custom to give the younger daughter in marriage before the older one.
Dude, it's
Finish
crazy
this
for
daughter's
that.
bridal week. Then we will give you the younger one in
Dude,
return
this
for-"
guy, you see, that's what I talk about, like God's plan getting fulfilled regardless. Because this guy is definitely like Jacob incarnate. Dude brought him, came, kiss him, everything. Hey man, how you doing, man? My nephew. Makes him work. After working for a bit, says, "You know what? I'll pay you for the work you're doing. What do you want?" Says what he wants. Say, "Okay, cool. I'll give you what you want." Makes him work 7 years. Tells him, "Oh, oops. well, you know what? That's not how we do business around here. You can't be marrying the younger daughter before the older daughter. Like, bruh, that's literally some Jacob stuff right there.
Another 7 years of work. And Jacob did so. He finished the week with Leah, and then Laban gave him his daughter Rachel to be his wife. Laban gave his servant Bilhah to his daughter Rachel as her attendant. Jacob lay with Rachel also, and he loved Rachel more than Leah, and he worked for Laban another 7 years. Thus Jacob finds himself married to 2 sisters, a situation that will create tension and rivalry in the years to come. Jacob's preferential love for Rachel mirrors the favoritism of his own parents, perpetuating a cycle of family conflict.
There's another thing that's being taught in this message is like, you need to be careful with this favoritism stuff, man. Sheesh. Look, it's like a poison.
Jacob's children are born amid this rivalry, as described in Genesis 29:31-35 and 31:24. Leah gives birth to Reuben, Simeon, Levi, and Judah. Rachel, unable to conceive, gives her servant Bilhah to Jacob, who bears Dan and Naphtali. Leah, seeing that she stopped having children, gives her servant Zilpah to Jacob, who bears Gad and Asher. Leah then conceives again and gives birth to Issachar and Zebulun. Finally, Rachel...
Look, they out here passing over women. All that, bro. All that, bro, how many? Leah had Reuben, then I can't even follow it like this. Yeah, there's Reuben. The other one had, I think it was Leah that had both Reuben and Simon. Oh yeah, okay. So his first wife had Reuben, Simon, and Levi, and Judah. All this, she had 4 kids. Okay, and then that's when Rachel became jealous and then gave her maidservant to Jacob. Oh my goodness. That's the Bilhah character that comes in. Okay, so it was 4 kids later. I'm just like, what is happening? There's so much this and that and this and that.
Conceives and gives birth to Joseph. This narrative of births is filled with tension and competition between the sisters, each seeking to gain Jacob's favor through motherhood. The names given to the children often reflect their mother's emotions and hopes. The years in Haran transformed Jacob from a young bachelor into a man with a large and complex family. Through deceit, hard work, and family rivalries, Jacob begins to experience the consequences of his past actions. However, amid all this, we see the gradual fulfillment of God's promise to make him a great nation. Genesis 30:25-28 marks the beginning of Jacob's desire to return to his homeland. After Rachel gave birth to Joseph, Jacob said to Laban, "Send me on my way so I can go back to my own homeland. Give me my wives and children, for whom I have served you.
I guess, you know, he's done enough.
You know how much work I have done for you."
Yeah, facts.
But Laban said to him, "If I have found favor in your eyes, please stay. I have learned by divination that the Lord has blessed me because of you." He added, "Name your wages, and I will pay them."
That's always revealed. Maybe that's how they always get to Jacob's. Always name your wages.
The tension between Jacob's desire to return and Laban's desire to keep him, recognizing the blessings Jacob has brought. Jacob's prosperity as a shepherd is described in Genesis 30:29-43. Jacob proposes an apparently unfavorable deal for himself, asking only for the speckled and spotted animals from the flock. However, through a combination of selective breeding and possibly divine intervention, Jacob manages to significantly increase his wealth. Genesis 31, 1-2-3 describes the growing resentment of Laban's sons and God's command for Jacob to return. Jacob, however, heard that Laban's sons were saying, "Jacob has taken everything that belonged to our father and gained all this wealth at our father's expense."
The dude's been working for your dad for so long. Give him a break.
No longer treated him as before. Then the Lord said to Jacob, "Return to the land of your ancestors and to your own people, and I will be with you." The secret planning of the departure is narrated in Genesis 31, 4-13, where Jacob explains the situation to Rachel and Leah, revealing a dream in which God instructed him to leave. Jacob's wives support his decision, acknowledging their father's unjust treatment. Genesis 31 to 17 to 21 describes the escape during the sheep shearing. Then Jacob put his children and his wives on camels, and he drove all his livestock ahead of him, along with all the goods he had accumulated in Paddan Aram, to go back to his father Isaac in the land of Canaan. When Laban had gone to shear his sheep, Rachel stole her father's household gods. Moreover, Jacob deceived Laban the Aramean by not telling him he was fleeing. He fled with all he had, crossed the Euphrates River, and headed for the hill.
So much crazy just going around this guy's life right now, man. You finally get away, and then your wife steals something from her dad. Like, what?
Country of Gilead. Rachel's theft of the household gods adds complexity to the situation, possibly indicating her reluctance to sever ties with her family completely. The pursuit of Laban is narrated in Genesis 31, 22-25. On the third day, Laban was told that Jacob had fled. Taking his relatives with him, Laban pursued Jacob for 7 days and caught up with him in the hill country of Gilead.
7 days, like the
Then
7
God
years
came
that he
to
asked
Laban
him to
the
stay.
Aramean in a dream at night and said to him, "Be careful not to say anything to Jacob, either good or bad." Jacob had pitched his tent in the hill country of Gilead when Laban overtook him, and Laban and his relatives camped there too. God's warning to Laban in a dream demonstrates his continued protection over Jacob, even when Jacob's actions were questionable. The confrontation on Mount Gilead is described in Genesis 31, 26 and 42.
That's why when the Bible says, "For God so loved the world," you know, that whosoever believes in him. When I talked about the fact that it doesn't really matter if you think that you're good enough for God to accept you. Ain't nobody bad enough for God to not accept you if you are seeking him. That's just facts.
Laban accuses Jacob of secretly fleeing and stealing his household gods. Unaware of Rachel's theft, Jacob allows Laban to search the entire camp. Rachel, sitting on the gods, deceives her father by claiming she cannot get up because of her menstrual period, preventing him from searching where she was sitting. Jacob then expresses his frustration over Laban's treatment over the years. "For 20 years I was with you. Your sheep and goats did not miscarry, nor did I eat rams from your flocks. I did not bring you animals torn by wild beasts. I bore the loss myself. And you demanded payment from me for whatever was stolen by day or night. The heat consumed me in the daytime and the cold at night, and sleep fled from my eyes. It was like this for 20 years I was in your household. I worked for you 14 years for your 2 daughters and 6 years for your flocks, and you changed my wages 10 times. If the God of my father, the God of Abraham, and the fear of Isaac had not been with me, you would surely have sent me away empty-handed. But God has seen my hardship and the toil of my hands, and last night he rebuked you." This passionate speech reveals Jacob's sense of injustice and his...
That's interesting that he said last night he rebuked you. How did he know that Laban had a dream? I think we're going to look at that and then we'll call it for the day. So it says Laban pursues Jacob. Laban caught up with Jacob. Now Jacob had pitched in the hill country. Then Jacob became angry and contended with Laban, and Jacob said to Laban, "What is my transgression? What is my sin that you have hotly pursued me? Though you have felt through all my goods? What have you found of all your household goods? Set it here before my kinsmen and your kinsmen, that they may decide between us two. These 20 years I have been with you, your ewes and your female goats have not miscarried, nor have I eaten the rams of your flock. That which was torn of beasts I did not bring to you, I bore the loss of it myself. You required it of my hand, whether stolen by day or stolen by night. Thus I was by day, the heat consumed me, and first by night, and my sleep fled from my eyes. These 20 years I've been in your house. I served you for 14 years for your 2 daughters and 6 years for your flock, and you have changed my wages 10 times. If the God of my father, the God of Abraham, and the fear of Isaac had not been for me, surely now you would have sent me away empty-handed. God has seen my affliction and the toil of my hands, so he rendered judgment last night. I want to get what he's talking about when he says he rendered judgment last night. Let's see the dream that Jacob told his wives that he had. Okay, no. So this is when they're saying that he's taken and he's made the wealth. Okay, so it says, then the Lord said to Jacob, return to the land of your fathers and your relatives, and I will be with you. So Jacob sent and called Rachel and led Leah to his flock in the field, and said to them, I see your father's attitude, that is not friendly toward me as formerly, but the God of my father has been with me. You know that I have served your father with all my strength, yet your father has cheated me and changed my wages 10 times. However, God did not allow him to hurt me. If he spoke thus, the speckled shall be your wages. Then all the flock brought forth speckled, and if he spoke thus, the striped shall be your wages. Then all the flock brought forth striped. Thus God has taken away your father's livestock and given them to me. And it came about at the time when the flock were mating, that I lifted up my eyes and saw in a dream, and behold, the male goats which were mating were striped, speckled, and mottled. Then the angel of God said to me in the dream, Jacob. I said, here I am. He said, lift up now your eyes and see that all the male goats that are mating are striped, speckled, and mottled. For I have seen all that Laban has been doing to you. I am the God of Bethel, where you anointed a pillar, where you made a vow to me. Now arise, leave this land, and return to the land of your birth. Rachel and Leah said to him, do we still have any portion of our inheritance in our father's house? Are we not reckoned by him as foreigners? For he has sold us, and has also entirely consumed our purchase price. Surely all the wealth which God has taken away from our father belongs to us and our children. Now then, do whatever God has said to you. So, well, he could be referring to two things. He could either be referring to, because the dream was on Laban's way to catching Jacob, no? Then so he says, when it was told Laban on the third day that Jacob had fled, then he took his kinsmen with him and pursued him a distance of 7 days journey. Yeah, so 7 days passed. So this is 3 days after, 7 days more. So he can't be talking about the same thing. And he overtook him in the hill country of Gilead. God came to Laban the Aramean in a dream of the night and said to him, be careful that you do not speak to Jacob, either good or bad. So whatever he said he had rendered judgment last night, we don't even actually know what he meant by that statement. But maybe I do some research and we talk about it tomorrow. Well, actually, today's going to be the last stream of this week because I'm out of town this Friday. I appreciate you guys stepping into the channel, dropping your comments, watching. Hopefully you guys all learned something. Pray that God will allow you to, seek his truth, seek the truth in your own free time as well. Have an amazing evening. God bless you all. Have a good night. Bye-bye.